You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Adventures. If you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you guys get your podcast. You can also find us on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you'll find links to all of our different material, articles, reviews, podcast episodes, and not only just Cinematic Adventures, but also MF Uncensored and the Multiverse Fancast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me in the studio today is Sean. Sean, how are you today?
I am great, Paul. How about you?
Oh, I'm just living the dream, man.
I know. You got a good dream you got going there.
Yeah, you know, it's a dream. It's there.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's good.
I'd rather be sleeping. It's Sunday morning. I'd rather be sleeping.
Well, true. It's not noon yet. So
it is not noon. That's the gauge on a Sunday afternoon. But we are here, and we are excited. We have a little bit of a different episode that we're going to be doing today with you guys.
Slightly different.
It is our most rated R episode. And that's actually going to be the title of the episode, our most rated R episode. And we thought it might be fun to talk about movie ratings and how
we got where we are.
Where we came from, how it started, how we used to get away with everything, and now you can't even show a lit cigarette on television anymore. But we wanted to have a little bit of fun. We wanted to do something more topical, and this is where we landed. We thought it would be an interesting one. But before we do that, we do have a little bit of news. Sean, tell me some news. Sean, you were supposed to have news.
I was. I don't remember.
We discussed this beforehand.
We did? I'm sorry. Did I say there was news?
So Jason Momoa is
That's
in
it.
There you go.
I couldn't remember.
This is why I'm hosting today. Everyone. But Jason Momoa is in talks to play the villain of the next Fast and Furious movie, and Sean's facial expressions alone should tell you that he is not excited about such a thing.
He'll be the villain in this one, then he'll be their best friend in the next one, and then he'll most likely be a long-lost relative in the next one, and then, Vin Diesel will fall in love with Charlize Theron, and then they'll have a family. It's just never ending.
I can't keep... No, there's...
never ending.
Not when you got family. Never ends.
But we will never see The Rock again.
No.
And I'm not upset about it at all.
No. The Rock's got plenty of other things going on.
It's not that. I just don't care at all. I just really don't care about their feud. It really just stupid.
Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, apparently there was a lot of issues between Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson on the set of Fast and Furious, to the point where they wouldn't even film scenes together. Like, I think the last movie that they were both in, like, there's a scene of the two of them talking to each other from, like two different vehicles. They filmed that separately and put it together in post. Like,
yeah,
that's how bad it got.
Yeah, it was bad.
And
even on social media, you would think like olive branches would be thrown, and The Rock was like, "I'm not having any part of it, man."
Yeah, like Vin Diesel reached out to him, and he on social media, and he was like, "Hey, we got to get you back, for the film. That's what Paul Walker would want." And he's like, "How dare you try and get like." Good for Dwayne Johnson, like to set that boundary.
Yeah, that was kind of I'm kind of surprised Vin Diesel used Paul Walker in that. Like, I was like, you're really gonna name drop him like that? That's kind of a dick move. Because obviously for The Rock, it doesn't look good if he says no. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no.
But The Rock set his boundaries, and that's where we're at. Plus, that franchise, man, like
it's just so overdone.
It's so overdone. And they'll keep making them too, because people keep going to see them.
Well, it's Universal's big moneymaker. They're gonna. I mean, until one of the movies doesn't make enough money, they're gonna keep going.
It's like Transformers.
Yeah, but I feel like Transformers is just kind of
done.
I never even saw the last one.
No, not.
And I never saw, even though I've heard good things. I never saw Bumblebee.
It's on my DVR, just sitting there, just patiently waiting for me to just
sitting there.
We also got Dune upstairs.
I do want to see that.
I want to see Dune.
I do want to see that.
But you know what I'm really excited about?
What is that?
we have the new Jackass coming out next week.
Yeah, that's true. That actually looks quite funny.
I think we might need to do an episode on Jackass.
Okay.
Because, in talking about...
What skit did you try not to throw up while watching?
In one of the Jackass movies?
That's going to be like one of the main questions.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a rough one.
It's going to be the horse one in Jackass 2. That one always makes me like...
That one I can't watch. Also the one with the porta potty in one of them.
Oh, and the third one?
When Steve-O's in it. Yeah. If it was just him in a porta potty, it wouldn't have been that bad. But...
Well, if you're in a porta potty, why... You
so
gotta
gross.
have... You gotta...
So gross. That's another movie with like the behind-the-scenes drama with, who's it, Bam Margera?
Well, that was later on. That's been in the recent years, not like during those first three, but in the in the recent years.
But it's funny because that actually segues into the other piece of news that I'm going to share because Sean actually didn't check any news.
No, I didn't.
Peacemaker is the #1 show in the entire world as of recording.
Wow.
Sean still has not seen it. Sean has no desire to see it.
I have no desire. Like, I literally have no desire. That movie was so dumb to me. I just...
Yeah, Sean did not like the Suicide Squad.
Nah, I'm good.
No,
I'm good.
All right then. But it brings.
Listen, good for them. Again, I really think TV is honestly going to be a huge factor in both Marvel and DC, and it's smart because instead of wasting a lot more money and doing it, Let me rephrase that. I'd be interested to know how much of a difference in money it would have been to make a movie with John Cena or to make this TV show. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're similar in money, maybe they're not. Gives you a little more leeway into doing an extended storyline instead of, cutting it into an hour and 45-minute movie. So it's just, I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get away with more, especially on these streaming services.
Awesome, because that's what we're going to be talking. We're going to talk about that today too.
Yeah.
Streaming services and ratings and all that.
There are no ratings on the streaming services, so there you go, right there.
But to segue back to, or to connect it with the Jackass 4 stuff, like it's interesting watching TVs to movies, movies to TV, and just it's much more successful nowadays to take a franchise that has a strong movie presence and turn it into a TV show.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I mean, we saw it with Firefly back in the day. They got their movie Serenity.
After the show was canceled.
And
not like right after. It was like a couple of years, right?
And then, Jackass, obviously. Jackass was one of the bigger transitions from TV to movie.
The first season, the first movie was during the show's run. I think it was over by the time the second movie came out, or maybe just ended. I can't remember.
Something like that, yeah.
Because that's when Knoxville was starting to become... Like, he was starting to be in a bunch of movies and stuff like that. So,
including one of our favorites, The Dukes of Hazzard.
I do like that movie.
I know, but he hates the Suicide Squad.
I'm sorry. That movie I just didn't think it was that good.
But, I've talked a lot about Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid and how, like, they made that successful transition and they did it well. I know Sean hasn't watched it, but Peacemaker is, like, off the walls crazy. So it is a good shift from the movie because, like as much as I did enjoy the Suicide Squad. It definitely wasn't my favorite DC movie, but John Cena did steal it in that role, and then
he was good.
He's killing it in the TV show. The TV show is really funny. But the last bit of news before I'm
glad you're here.
Sean doesn't know this. This is a surprise news. So recently, the Misfit Faction has been accepted into Podbean's affiliate program. So basically, that means two things. Number one, if you are somebody that ever wanted to start a podcast, maybe you've been listening to us, you've been listening to one of our other shows, you've been listening to, shows like Joe Rogan, the big ones, and you decide, hey, I want to give this a try. If you guys use our code, that's podbean.com/misfitfaction, you can actually get a free month of podcasting on us.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you use that code, if you are interested in starting your own show, reach out to us. We would love to talk to you about it and give you some pointers and tips, maybe have you on MF Uncensored, and go from there. If you are looking to sponsor the show and become an official Podbean affiliate, that means somebody that supports the show. It can be $1, it can be $10, it can be whatever. You can also go to sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction, and you'll get $100 of free advertising. So if you have a service or a product that you want, shared on Podbean or shared on our show, you can do that and use our code to get $100 off of free advertising. So that's sponsorship.podbean.com/themisfitfaction. Now we are done with news. Now.
Good job.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. I know we talked a little bit about what we were going to be discussing today, but, just a quick synopsis. Basically, everybody knows that movies have ratings, and those ratings are designed to pick the audience that's really supposed to be going to see that movie.
Yeah.
So,
and also just to give warnings to parents, because obviously that's a key factor. Not knowing what is in a movie, the rating will give you a general sense of what you are going to see. Now, there are different things. You can go to a rated R movie and it can be only language, or it could be violence, or it could be sex and nudity, or it could be a trifecta, all three. So it's really, I can only speak for us. Right now at our age, it doesn't matter what a movie's rated. But like when we were younger, we would be more looking forward to a movie if we knew it was rated R, just because it was like, ooh, what are we going to see? Or again, PG-13, we would be able to go by ourselves at that age. Sometimes our parents would have been able to buy our tickets for us. But the rating system was a big factor in what movies you obviously were going to see or were allowed to see when you were younger.
All right. So with that, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about the history of the MPAA, the rating system, some of our own personal experiences, because we have had some run-ins with the rated R police.
But to say we've had some run-ins with the MPAA?
The MPAA.
That's what I just said.
I thought you said N. I was like, no, that's a different. I don't know what that is.
MPAA.
We'll take a quick break.
Listen.
Take a quick break. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Rayz Energy Drinks. Rayz is a proud member of Rep Sports, and if you guys are looking for a little extra kick during your day, whether you need to tackle a workout or you need to get over that afternoon slump, you can always check out Rayz Energy, and if you get to checkout and you enter the code CINEMATIC, not only will you be getting a 15% discount, but you'll also be supporting the network. So that's Rayz Energy with Rep Sports. Code is CINEMATIC, CINEMATIC. All right, we are back and we are ready. We are here to discuss.
You said you were ready, so I'm saying I'm ready.
I said we were ready. I
know. I'm insinuating that I'm ready.
It's just you don't have to insinuate. I said now we look silly.
Too late.
Fair. But anyway, that's why we don't do video podcasts.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. That's MF Uncensored is going to start doing video podcasts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not excited about it.
But why are you doing it?
Because niches and algorithms and...
You have a niche?
Solid Boy Meets World reference. Well done. Niche?
Not even niche?
But anyway, we are back, and yes, we are here to discuss. This has been recording the whole time.
Oh, God.
Yep, no, that's staying in. We're here to discuss the movie rating system because, as Sean said, it is a big factor in who's going to see movies and how popular movies are, and it's been something that's been debated and talked about for years, for a long time. Especially nowadays, we were talking at breakfast this morning. Just so you guys know, we all go out to breakfast every Sunday.
That's true.
It's very cute and
it's
very
true.
romantic.
I was there.
You've seen it.
I've seen it.
Rest in peace, Bob Saget.
Yeah.
But anyway, and we were talking about my favorite joke in Deadpool 2, or one of my favorite jokes is when Deadpool's talking about how he's like, now I'm spoken in the same words as Jesus. And he goes, Passion of the Christ here, us here. We beat them domestically, though, or beat them internationally, or whatever it was. And that's, because rated R movies were not for a long time considered to be blockbuster-worthy movies. And it wasn't until you get your raunchier comedies were usually the ones that were reserved for the more popular R ratings. Mm-hmm. Like Animal House rated R, right?
Yes, Animal House rated R.
The Hangover is another one that was hugely successful despite being rated
R.
Like
the National Lampoon, Vacation. The first Vacation, but a lot of people forget that was rated R.
Yep, the American Pie series.
Mm-hmm.
I love the American
Scary
Pie
Movie. Series. Remember there was a big uproar on Scary Movie 1 when it came out, that movie should have been NC-17. I remember that.
Arguably.
Well, I'm just saying. It was. I remember that the woman at the theater was trying to convince my dad's like, I don't think your son should see this movie. And I'm like,
little did they know,
lady, calm down.
Come on now.
Come on.
But why don't you run through the rating system really quick?
The rating system. Okay.
Like what a movie could currently be rating.
Everybody knows now the ratings of the American Motion Picture Association, and that is starting with G for general audiences, and that pretty much is nothing that would offend parents for viewing by children. Pretty much all ages admitted. Then you have PG, parental guidance suggested. Parents are urged to give parental guidance, may contain some material parents might not like for their young children. Then we have PG-13, the newest of the ratings, which started, I believe, in 1984.
And what movie started that?
Well, the movie that really got it going was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, but the official first PG-13 movie of all time, Red Dawn.
Really?
Red Dawn.
Wolverines.
PG-13 parents strongly caution. Parents are urged to be cautious. Some material may be inappropriate for pre-teenagers. Then we have R, restricted. Contains some adult material. Parents are urged to learn more about the film before taking their young children with them. And lastly, we have NC-17, adults only.
We're going to talk about NC-17.
Clearly adult. Children are not admitted. So that currently, and I'm not insinuating that it's going to change because I don't think it'll ever change, but that is the rating system for the MPAA. Paul, back to you.
Thanks, man. So NC-17 is...
I love that we go right to NC-17.
Yeah, you're going to start at the top because unfortunately it's also the smallest list that we have.
Well, yeah, because it takes a lot to get that rating. And a lot of times when a movie gets that rating, they'll appeal the rating. I actually have, hold on one sec. Where is it? I had it. The percentage of total films appealed. So since 1968, when the rating system technically began, of the nearly 30,000 films rated, 1.4% of them have been appealed. So 428 movies have appealed their initial rating, and 0.6% have had their rating overturned, 165.
Jeez.
So since the introduction of the PG-13 rating, most years have seen 1% or fewer ratings appealed. And most of that is NC-17 to R or R to PG-13.
Wow. I just tried to do math in my head and it hurts now.
I know.
But so it used to be the X rating, though.
X was the original back in the late 60s, and then that kind of became the general rating for pornography. And it really kind of, I think the NC-17 began in the 90s, maybe even 80s. I'm not 100% on that.
All right, so here I have a list of movies that got the NC-17 rating. There's a lot of movies, but then most of them repealed it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just doing a quick...
Any notables that you noticed?
American Psycho was the edited version rated R for strong violence, sexuality, drug use, and language. One scene had to be cut by 18 seconds in order to get... Like, that's crazy.
I know. That when you hear about, like, a lot of movies getting appealed, it's like, you know, only, like, seconds get cut.
Well, it's even funnier because, like, the next one here, American Pie. American Pie has an uncut version, which I've seen.
And it's not...
It's barely different.
Yeah, it really isn't. Zach and Miri Make a Porno, I remember there was a big... That one got an NC-17 when in its original.
I mean, the title alone.
Well, the poster alone.
Yeah. And then there's a lot. We'll talk about that movie at some point, but there's a lot about that movie that's just crazy when you talk about that. They couldn't. A lot of countries just called it Zack and Miri.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
They redid the poster so it was 2 stick figures because everybody freaked out.
Yeah, I remember that too.
So like that was another one, but you know, American Pie and then Dukes of Hazzard had an uncut version,
and uncut version,
literally just a couple of bad words.
Yeah, but again, uncut is different than because I don't think. That went from R to PG-13.
Yeah.
I don't think that was an NC-17 rating at any stretch. I just think they didn't want an R rating because they knew the audience we're aiming for here is in that 13 to 17 range, and most parents are not going to want to go with their kids to see this movie. No. So let's try and get a PG-13 rating.
See, Basic Instinct, I would imagine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Showgirls got the NC-17
Showgirls got the NC-17 rating.
Yeah, Showgirls didn't care.
And Showgirls is probably more famous for it.
Probably.
Because that is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I know there was a movie called Crash, not the Oscar winner. There was another movie called Crash that got an NC-17 rating. I remember that.
Man, Clerks apparently had...
Really?
Yeah, and then they went back for it. That's funny. Boondock Saints. Let's see. Crash. 1996, rated NC-17 for numerous explicit sex scenes. Edited version, rated R for accident, gore, some graphic language, and aberrant sexual content. I don't know what that means. The Crow. That's another one.
Really?
Yeah. Some of the Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Hard 2. Wow.
I don't know about that. Really? That's got to be violence.
Yeah, pure violence. Because not all of these things are sexual. Like, obviously, to get an NC-17 rating, sexually based content is the...
A lot of times when you get an NC-17 rating, it has a lot more to do with sex than violence.
Right. So... Still interesting, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Eyes Wide Shut, that's another one.
That's obvious, yeah.
Freddy got fingered. God. Remember when everybody was trying to... What's his name?
Tom Green.
Yeah, everybody... Like, he was, like, the big thing in Hollywood for, like, a minute.
I just remember his cameo in Charlie's Angels because he was dating Drew Barrymore at the time.
The Chad. The Chad was great.
The Chad was great.
Let's see. Goodfellas.
Road Trip. That was a great movie.
Road Trip is a good movie.
Goodfellas? Really?
Goodfellas is on there.
Huh.
Some of these are really interesting. Some of these I've never heard of.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of movies that...
Jason X, really? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I could see him almost getting the NC-17 rating. Kill Bill, Volume 1, but not Volume 2. Well, Volume 2 is much less violent. Let's see. Law Abiding Citizen. Some of these are really good. Some of these I just want to do episodes on. Midsommar. Did you ever see that?
What is it?
Midsummer. It was like, it's like messed up. I didn't even watch it. I couldn't. But that's a lot of like the big ones. All the Saw movies. Every single. Scary Movie 2. The original Scream.
Yes.
7 seconds of gore were cut.
Yeah.
What? This is ridiculous. So really, this is also a chance for us.
Sometimes that's all it takes. It's all it takes.
Team America World Police. That's a good one. But
the puppet sex scene.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the uncut puppet sex scene?
I don't think so.
It is graphic and hilarious. Oh god, it's like gross. But anyway, so really the reason I wanted to start with here is because movie ratings are one of the most arcane and just silly systems that we have in effect today. They're very much like the Comic Code Authority, you know, when everybody tried to censor comic books and, you know, that they were going to rot your brain and teach you all these poor values.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to speak for Sean, but I can honestly say that I think it's definitely up to a parent's discretion what their child should be going to the movies to see.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
We also were the kids that would occasionally go to a different movie that we were telling our parents that we were going to see. And
that too. And it also depended on the movie theater you went. Some movie theaters didn't care. Some movie theaters were very strict on checking your ID or anything like that. But
yeah.
I agree with you that it's a system that in the past might have been a little archaic, but I mean, it still works. You know, it's not, in my opinion, again, besides the NC-17, again, it's all about the parents. It's all about what your parents would let you see. What, you know, pretty much. I mean, I was lucky. My parents were fairly tame in terms of what they allowed me to see when I was younger.
I wasn't allowed to watch MTV as a kid.
I might not have been allowed, but I don't think I had any interest in watching MTV as a kid.
Back when they actually showed music.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. You just couldn't watch The Real World?
Yeah, no. Like, whatever.
I wasn't allowed to watch South Park.
We just watched the post-COVID, Return of COVID. Yeah. It is hilarious. But yeah, South Park's another thing, like another good example of TV to movie, and where the movie was just...
Well, I mean, I wasn't allowed to watch American Pie when it first came out. It took me a while to see American Pie.
I felt like Jim a lot of the time from American Pie, where I had to sneak watching American Pie. But American Pie 2, I remember I was sleeping over with one of our former friends back in the day, Eric.
Oh.
Yeah. And we watched that movie for the first time, and I was dying the whole time. That is one of my, like...
Really?
I love that movie.
See, I always thought the first one was better. The second one, there were funny moments, but didn't really... It's not something I go back to as much as the first one.
Still, my favorite, and I know we're on tangents because that's what we do on the show. It's nothing but tangents. My favorite American series, movie, whatever you want to call it, moment is an American Reunion.
Oh, Reunion! Wow.
When Stifler ties the jet skis to the truck and they destroy them, and he's like, because like they took the bathing suit tops from the girls and splashed them with the jet skis. And they go, Stifler, you destroyed their jet skis. And he's like, well, they splashed us. And they all just look at him, and then he realizes what he just said. He's like, so yeah. And they just stop it. It's the funniest thing. I don't know what it is, but it always gets me. Because that's a series that grew up with its audience. It's one of the smarter movie series. And you never thought you'd say that about the American Pie series, that it was one of the smarter series. Because
I never felt, though, that the American Pie movies were stupid. I thought they had a genuine, teenage...
They caught the look and feel of the teenagers and then the young adults.
Yes.
And the second movie, the last third is an existential crisis for Kevin about how everything's changing and how everything's different, and he's super unhappy, but he's trying to hold on.
Yep.
And then you got American Wedding, where it's talking about we just graduated college and now we're moving on, and then American Reunion is just hilarious.
American Reunion was just fun, and I thought the American Reunion did a really good job of bringing the characters back, and it brought back all of them.
Almost, yeah. I think 99% of them.
Yes.
John Cho as the MILF guy.
That's right.
Yep.
Who would have thought?
I know, right? But we digress.
We do.
But one day we'll do an American Pie series.
Here's a fun question for you. What is the first rated R movie you remember actually seeing in theaters? With your parents, without your parents, I don't care.
I'm sure it's not the first, but I do distinctly remember when we went to go see Scary Movie 2.
Really?
Yeah. As far as R movies in theaters,
yeah,
that might have been it, but I'm not sure because my parents, ironically enough, despite my leisurely activities, my parents were not big movie people.
Yeah,
and my dad a little bit more than my mom, and my mom will enjoy a movie if the right person's in it. She'll watch Ryan Reynolds movies all the time, and I'm like, so will I, because he's Ryan Reynolds, and I just he's too precious for this world.
Yes.
But so for me, I don't really have a lot of memories. Like when I was young, a lot of family films, just a lot of family films. But as far as rated R movies, I think Scary Movie 2 is the earliest I can remember. There might have been one before it, but that's the one I can remember.
Yeah, for me, again, I've said I was very lucky. My parents were very big. It almost felt like every weekend we were going to a movie. And the first rated R movie I remember going to see, I can't remember if it was. If not, it was either Blade, Varsity Blues, and Wag the Dog, or like in that 1998 area.
Solid choices.
I still to this day, I'm like, I go to my parents and said, why in the hell did you bring me to see Wag the Dog? And they were like, we had no idea what it was about. And I was like,
and that's another thing.
And I was like, okay. And I love the movie now. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. But as a kid, I'm watching this going like, I have no idea what's going on here. Like, just bored the crap out of me. But I remember seeing Blade in the theater.
You know, it's funny, on Multiverse Fancast's Fan Feedback Friday, you put one of your top 3 scenes is from Blade, that opening scene, and now it makes sense. That's one of your first.
I will never forget that opening scene.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny about Blade. The ending scared me as a kid when all the vampires are getting like the ritual is happening, and like the vampires are like coming out of their mouths and stuff. Like that scared me as a kid, and I never watched the movie because of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I remember, you know, like you'd go into like a Sears or anything like that, and they'd have movies playing in the entertainment center.
Yeah,
and they were playing Blade there, so I watched it. Yeah, I know, right? So I remember watching it, and you know,
like
I was like
working a Holiday Video and playing Scream.
Who would do
I don't know.
Like that?
I don't know.
Oh, he's savage. I love it.
But Robin Williams live on Broadway.
Yes, man. Oh, for those of you guys who don't know, Sean did work at Hollywood Video for quite some time.
God, I did not give a crap. I was like,
we had some fun times there. I didn't even actually work there.
No, you didn't.
I would just come hang out. Very Randall of me.
Very
Randall. So
not even supposed to be here today.
What a great T-shirt that would be.
Oh, that would be.
I know, but so for me, like that, seeing rated R movies, it really wasn't until I was a little bit older. And you know, it's like your parents said, we didn't know what this movie was about. You didn't always know what movies were about going into them. You had the trailer, and then you had whatever was in the newspaper.
And then, this is before, this is really the beginning of the internet. So, like, IMDb was either just starting up or really not existed yet. So to do deep dives into these movies before you saw them, it just wasn't there. You'd have to rely on, as you just said, the trailer, which back then would not tell you a thing. Now you have to worry about a trailer spoiling the movie for you. Back then, trailers were awesome. Like, you would just see great little scenes and stuff. But for the most part, I never remember being spoiled by a trailer. Again, there weren't many movies to be spoiled. Like, what's a movie? The Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense, you just saw the trailer. I see dead people.
Imagine if the opening scene, like at the end of the trailer, it just shows him like realizing he's dead.
It's like, come on. But it's crazy that, you relied on a critic, in the newspaper, or you just said, you know what, the title sounds cool, I'm going to go see this.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just where we were.
Or word of mouth.
That too. And word of mouth is not really a thing as much anymore.
Word of mouth is so instantaneous.
Because now it's social media.
And we're all guilty of it. Like, there's more than one time that you or I have been on, gone to see like your Spider-Mans or your Avengers, and then right after we post, best movie ever, or something like that. Or now we just do a full podcast where we talk about all these things.
That's so true.
Indeed, indubitably. But tell me, Sean.
Oh, I will. What am I telling you?
What are your fondest memories of a rated R movie? Do you have one that sticks out?
Oh, absolutely. Ali Lauder in Varsity Blues.
Yes. I meant like a movie-going experience, but okay, we'll go with Ali Larder and Varsity Blues.
That's a movie-going experience. I don't know. What's your definition of a movie-going experience?
You don't even see the whole nine in that for her.
No, you don't. You don't have to. It's all in the imagination.
That movie made me like the song "Hot for Teacher" so much more.
Yes.
Yeah, but
I am an adult,
and I've had relations with older women. That movie is an unrecognized gem sometimes.
It is, because it's right at that American Pie moment, but it's not like a raunchy teen comedy. Like, it has a little more to it, a little more drama.
It's a dramedy.
Yeah, it's a dramedy, and it hits its subject that was big at the time with, high school football and stuff that still is. Like your Friday Night Lights, it's kind of like the precursor to that.
Right.
But what about you?
I would say, and I think we talked about this at breakfast, we watched the movie Monsters Ball with Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton, and there is a graphic sex scene in that movie, and my mom went to cover my eyes, and I'm like 14 or when did that movie come out?
It was 2001.
Yeah, so like
we were in high school.
Yeah, I was like 14ish, So
Yeah.
we were freshmen. It's the year of Smallville. And she went to cover my eyes, but her hands, like her fingers were open. So I think she just instinctively went like that. So I could still see through her fingers, and I'm watching the whole thing. She's like, "You don't see any of this, do you?" I was like, "No."
I was like, no, Mom, I still see Billy Bob.
Oh God. No, I wanted to see Halle Berry.
The Ali Larter one was good, but probably the first time I ever saw Animal House. And my mom was like, "I'm going to show you Animal House," and I'm like, "Okay." But she's like, "You're not going to be able to watch half of it." I'm like, "Then why am I watching it?"
Then what am I doing with my life?
But there were enough moments in that movie that I was able to see that I, was laughing. I thought were hysterical. There's certain scenes where she was like, you can't watch this. Fast forward. Like, you can still kind of see what's going on, Mom, with the fast forward.
Yeah, we kind of know what's happening.
So
it's like
that would probably be like one of my earliest memories of a rated R movie, because that had to have been like 9 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you think rated R movies do you think that having them as comedies, or like, what would you prefer? If you're going to have a rated R movie, would you prefer it's rated R in the terms of comedy, in terms of violence and gore, action, language?
So, okay, that's a good one, because I've always had this talk with a friend of mine about horror movies. And there was a stretch in the early 2000s where horror movies were kind of becoming PG-13, like The Grudge or something like that. And I understood why, because it's it's the market. It's the market. You want to be able to be seen by a lot more people. But in my opinion, a true good horror film, you need that R rating. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some good horror movies out there that are not rated R, which but they're different. They're more suspenseful,
and they're based more on script.
That too. But if you're going for straight gore like Scream's got to be rated R, all that stuff. Comedy-wise, that's a tough one, because if you're going into a comedy and it's rated R, you kind of know what you're going to see. You're going to see language. You're most likely going to see nudity of some sort. Who knows? But you could get away with it. PG-13 is just as funny, in my opinion, See,
I'll argue that. I think rated R comedies are a lost art, because for us, I think they translate the most into how we talk with each other.
That's true.
Like, we, obviously on the show, we censor to a point, because we are a family-friendly show. If you want more raunchy content, you go, or not raunchy, just more rated R content, you go to MF Uncensored. We use profanity on that a lot more. But, for me, like, when we're talking about rated R movies, I always think of one movie that I really like, The Change Up, with Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds. And it is a rated R comedy with a lot of heart to it too, which is even funnier.
They go all out in that one, though. I remember,
yeah, and
I remember seeing that in theaters, going like, "Oh wow, okay."
And I really enjoy that movie.
It's good. It's a good movie,
and it's hard to watch it on network TV.
Oh, absolutely.
Mostly because of the dubbing. Dubbing's a whole other issue. Like, network and cable, their rating system is crazy.
So now that you brought that up, remember back in the day, watching old Comedy Central, and this is when Comedy Central pretty much showed movies, like all the old 80s movies. I remember they'd show Ghostbusters, and they'd show American Werewolf in London and Revenge of the Nerds. And the way they would edit these movies, they would zoom in on the movie so you couldn't see, if there was a nudity scene.
Yeah.
Or you would, obviously, you would do the whole dubbing where you could see that the mouth is saying something different and then, something else is coming out. Now it's to the point where they just cut the scene altogether.
They do it very strangely on TV nowadays. They do it one of three ways. One, they'll cut out the scene entirely. There are plenty of movies that when we watch, we're like, where's that scene that we like?
What is
Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. I don't understand it. It is, to me, yes, it's suggestive, but it's not, in my opinion, something that needs to be cut from TV.
So they'll either cut the scene completely, which pisses us off. They'll overdub it. They'll put it's always like, this is my normal voice, but this is the voice of the guy dubbing it. And it's really funny. Or, and my preference, they'll just cut it out. Or just cut the word out. So they'll keep just talking and then just a silence.
Just silence.
No beeps, no nothing.
Yeah.
So I actually prefer that last one.
Remember the beeps.
It's funny. Shows are starting to do that on purpose now. Brooklyn Nine-Nine started doing that in all of in their last 2 seasons. They started adding in the bleeps just because we know what they're saying. It's like Quagmire says. You know what's going on here. I can't show you.
Family
but
Guy does it too.
Family Guy does it too. It's funny. I was watching. They showed the family again. This is also a censorship episode, I guess. But I was watching the episode of Family Guy where Stewie goes into the future and he meets his future father or his future self, and he's like a depressed 35-year-old virgin who's living in a crappy apartment, and they use the R word Like, that was kosher. Like, they could use it. That was also during the time that they could use that word. We don't use that word here. But when he went to go say penis and vagina, which are the anatomical correct terms, but he says it as you go in there and you put your penis into her vagina because, he's a baby. They bleeped that. I'm like, you could say the R word, but you can't mispronounce the anatomically correct body parts.
It really is crazy what they deem you cannot or can hear.
It's so strange.
It really is. It's just bizarre. It really is bizarre. That's why, I don't watch a lot of movies on network TV, because it's just, especially if it's a movie you enjoy, you just know you're not going to get the right amount of,
All right, so you ready for this one? Here's a recent R-rated issue. Birds of Prey. Mm-hmm. Birds of Prey came out. I like Birds of Prey. It's actually a solid film. They should have just called it Harley Quinn, but whatever. So Birds of Prey comes out, and TNT gets all the rights because TNT's Warner Brothers.
Yes.
That's why you'll see a lot of the DC movies on there. I feel
like Justice League was on that channel for a year straight.
Yeah, they'll still show it every once in a while, but not nearly as much. Ironically, they showed it a ton when the Snyder Cut came out.
Yes.
Because people would think, it's Justice League. But anyway, so they put the edited version on TV, and that's a movie that's also, when edited, is a little tough. Like, I'm like, this is so silly. Like, and then I'm really into it because I haven't seen it, and since I saw it in theaters, I was like, wait a minute, it's on HBO Max. I'm just gonna throw it on HBO Max. This is the same time that apparently when they uploaded the copy of the edited version of Birds of Prey to WB servers, they accidentally put it onto HBO Max also. So I went to watch it, and it was the edited version.
I remember you telling me that, and literally the day or two after you told me that,
internet
there was an actual
about it.
article. Yeah, it was an article on IMDb about it, and how they made a mistake. I'm like, oops. It's like, okay, guys, this isn't crazy, but it's funny.
It's really funny.
It's funny, but the rating system is just, it's interesting, now, and especially remember back in the late 90s when TV started doing ratings. Mm-hmm. We were joking again at breakfast about Goosebumps, the TV show. I think that was the first show I ever recall having a rating, which boggles my mind because when you watch Goosebumps now, there's nothing in those.
When I was 7, it was terrifying.
Well, yes, as kids it was terrifying, but at the same time, Are You Afraid of the Dark was on, and there were no ratings on that. But they made a big deal out of Goosebumps being made into a TV show.
I love it.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. And if it wasn't, we wouldn't know what it is. But we thought this would be a fun topic. And just, because obviously Sean has a little bit more knowledge about the technical. He did numbers.
I did numbers.
He did numbers. I was really impressed.
So we got right here, I can tell you exactly, in the last 50 years, because again, for anyone out there who doesn't know, the rating system pretty much began back in 1968. Mm-hmm. But the MPAA has been around since the 20s. It was known as the production code at the time, or some of you might know the Hays Code. And from from the beginning of film to basically 1930, there was an unwritten agreement about what really you could get away with in film, but it wasn't enforced. Mm-hmm. So if you go back and look at some of the early, talkies and some of the later silent films, you'd be shocked.
Oh, yeah.
What they were getting away with. A lot of innuendo, a lot of stuff where you're like, wow. And it really started to get enforced about 1934. And one of the best, in my opinion, examples of how the Hays Code actually may have benefited a movie. Have you ever seen It Happened One Night?
I have not.
Okay. It's one of the greatest screwball comedies ever made. It's Clark Gable, Claudette Colbert, Frank Capra directed it. And basically a spoiled heiress runs away from home, and a newspaper man, finds her and is trying to bring her back to get the reward money. Basically Spaceballs.
Gotcha.
The genesis plot of Spaceballs is where it came from. It Happened One Night. There's a scene in a motel where they're going to sleep in the same room. And of course, as you know from watching old TV and stuff, you couldn't sleep in the same bed. Mm-hmm. So they literally take a clothesline in the middle of the room and he puts a blanket over it. He calls it the Walls of Jericho. And that's going to keep the big bad wolf out. I like my privacy. The innuendo is hysterical. Like what they got away with just in that scene.
That's hilarious.
And that's because of the Hays Code. Because instead of just having them sleep near each other, no, they had to have this little extra gem added in to make it the scene even better. But 1934 basically is when the enforcement really happened. And it really went till about the 50s where, certain movies were starting to, not get a seal of approval, but we're still getting released and we're still making money. And foreign films were starting to come into play. A lot of foreign films were getting away with a lot more. And really is when, in the mid 60s is when the code just kind of started falling apart. And, then you get, movies like In the Heat of the Night, Midnight Cowboy, The Graduate, and then from then on, then we get the rating system from 68 to present.
Yeah. I
mean, that's the history of it.
And then as we mentioned, the PG-13 rating was the most recent addition to it.
Yes. So that is due to Steven Spielberg, who obviously directed Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and at the same time was producing Gremlins. And both movies were not violent enough to get an R rating, but that means they got a PG rating.
I mean, Jaws has a PG rating.
Jaws has a PG rating. I mean, and Spielberg himself was just like, yo, this movie's really scary. Like, it's shouldn't be for little kids, but because it's got this PG rating, little kids are going to come to it. So he went to the head of the MPAA and was like, isn't there like a rating that we can do that's between PG and R, like a PG-14 or something like that? And the guy was like, how about PG-13? All right, sounds good. And from that point on, we have the PG-13 rating.
That's the only rating that really has like never been enforced with me. Like,
no, I
think
agree.
Maybe once or twice, like somebody asked, is that child 13? Man, no thanks. But this was fun. This was good. This is interesting. We want to try and do some more topical stuff.
I got one last. So
go for it.
So this is on the Motion Picture Association's website. So since, again, I don't know how old this website is, but in a ballpark, there have been about 30,000 movies made since the late 60s, strictly in America. 1,500 of them rated G. 5,500 rated PG, 4,900, and that's just since 1984 have been rated PG-13, 17,000 rated R, and 524 rated NC-17.
Wow, look at that.
So
that's see again more numbers, more other numbers.
Numbers.
Yeah, I'm not a big numbers guy.
Nah.
How many podcasts do you do? Too many. That's about it. But we want to thank you guys. This was a lot of fun and a lot of interesting conversation. I guess is really the best because movies there aren't nearly as many coming out and it's harder for us to go see them too. So you might see some more topical episodes. Yeah. I think kind of like what we did in the beginning of our show. We did the spoof movie episode where we just talked about some of our favorite spoof movies. Maybe we'll do something like that too. But we do have on our Facebook page, The Cinematic Adventures, our Fan Feedback Friday for this week. This one was fun. We got a lot of answers.
Woohoo.
So bear with me.
Oh, no.
So this week, what is a movie quote you would get on a t-shirt?
Well, Paul, what is a movie quote you would get on a t-shirt?
All right. So we have, but did you die? I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Classic.
There's no crying in baseball.
Classic.
Nobody's perfect. I can't read this one.
Which one?
The Marilyn Monroe one.
I have a thing for saxophone players.
Oh, is that what it said?
Yeah.
Yep, I have a thing about saxophone players.
Some Like It Hot, one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Say hello to my little...
It could go either way.
Yep. I'll have what she's having. Life is like a box of chocolates. Guess it's not a good day to be a bad guy. Wolfman's got nards. Play it again, Sam. Garbage day. You got to say it that way because, I see dead people. That feels weird, but I'll allow it. You talking to me. Let's see. And you've got a friend in me. There you go. Yep. So that was it. Those were some good ones. We had some really good ones for that one. I enjoyed that Fan Feedback Friday. That was a good one. But if you guys would like to participate in Fan Feedback Friday, you can find us on our Facebook page. That's Cinematic Adventures. You can also find us on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you find links to all of our different shows, not only Cinematic Adventures, but MF Uncensored and the Multiverse Fancast. You can also find ways to contact us. Again, if you're looking to start your own show and you want somebody to work with, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you and get you set up. You can also find us on Instagram, The Misfit Faction, or you can find us on YouTube, The Misfit Faction Media Network. So that's going to wrap us up for today. As always, I am Paul.
I'm Sean.
And we'll be back next week.
Hasta la vista.
Baby.